Hello, my name is Scott Wright, clarinet professor at the University of Kentucky, and you are on Wildcat Clarinet Network. We're going to start a little series on tone production and give you some ideas on how you might be able to produce a sweeter, more resonant, prettier sound on your clarinet. We're going to talk a little about air, use of air. We're going to talk a little bit about our embouchure, and we're also going to talk about the oral cavity, what you can do to create different shapes and sounds inside your mouth. Today we're going to start off with breathing. As I go around and listen to middle school clarinet players play, high school and even college kids, one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest deterrents to a student being able to produce a really beautiful professional sound is the lack of air. So in a sense, this is two parts to this problem. Number one, we simply don't take enough air in. And then number two, we don't effectively use our air. But I'm going to give you a couple different tips today, simple things that you might think of while you're practicing or sitting in your band rehearsal. Number one, how to get more air into your lungs. Many of you have been in marching bands and you've done drills and the breathing gym and all sorts of things like that. And those are all terrific. But I want you to think of a simple thing in terms of breathing, and that is bottom up. Bottom up simply means we want to fill up our lungs from the very bottom to the very top every time we take a breath. And there's a simple word you can remember and use to help you get a full breath. That word is Hawaii. And so what I like to do with my students and with myself when I take a breath, I imagine the word Hawaii. I actually say it sometimes, and I fill up my lungs from the bottom up. For instance, I might say, Hawaii. Now the three different sounds, the H, the Y, and the E, fill up different parts of the lungs. The H starts the air coming in and filling up the bottom. The Y fills up the center. And the E sort of tops the tank off with air. Okay, try it a few times and you might discover that you really get a sense of being full with your air. Now, once you take a deep Hawaii breath, it's essential that you start working to create a bigger sound. One of the biggest problems is that we frequently play in sections with 10, 12, 16 other clarinet players. So a lot of times we are told by the band directors or our teachers to tone it down, clarinets. And that's fine in band rehearsal, but when you are practicing on your own, I want you to think of taking a really deep breath and then creating a bigger sound. As opposed to a small breath and a small sound. So one of the major differences between the sound of a professional and the sound of a student or an amateur is that a professional sound is big. It resonates, it projects, and it fills up an entire room. And I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you first to do Hawaii breaths during your next rehearsal, and then I want you to make it your goal for the band director to tell you, "You're playing too much, clarinet, someone's playing too much." That's what we should be striving to do. At first, that big breath is going to result in a tone that's just louder. But once you get used to taking more air in on a consistent basis and then using bigger sound, we're going to be able to talk about, instead of just playing at a loud dynamic level, using that greater air supply to produce a more beautiful, dark, rich, and resonant tone. So I hope you try this, work to create deeper breathing and create a bigger sound, and you're going to be on your way to producing a more beautiful tone quality. Once again, this is Wildcat Clarinet Network from the University of Kentucky. Now go practice.